Hello guys, welcome to our new video tutorial series. As you know, we are preparing for AWS Developer Associate exam, and this is the continuation series of AWS Developer Associate exam. And in this video, we will explain about how we're gonna use the CI/CD on AWS. Okay, if you have not followed me from my previous video, just go and watch. I have explained you how we're gonna create an AWS account and how we make IAM user, how we use CloudFormation and connect the Git repository, all the stuff in my previous video. So just go and watch my previous videos. So in this video, we will discuss about how CI/CD on AWS works. So it's an overview of continuation integration of continuous delivery. So CD means continuous delivery, and why CI/CD matters for developers. Okay, and then AWS services supporting CI/CD. So what is CI/CD? Continuous integration, automate building and testing code changes. And CD stands for continuous delivery, automate deploying applications safely, improve speed, reliability, and consistency. So as you know that we have to use the AWS services for our applications, our softwares, our websites, and all the stuff, to automate our cloud storage. Because if we are building our own software, our own website project, we have to deploy somewhere so like all the world can use our application. And we can make a server at home, but for that it's quite costly. If you use the AWS services, it's quite cheap, and you can increase your budget according to your users. If you have 10,000 users using your application, you can upgrade your system at any time. But if you are using on house services, like you have a place where you build all your server, and you have to increase the hardware and the software also, like if for building a server which can handle 1,000 users or one lakh users is quite costly. And AWS did it for past many years, and they reduce costs like so efficiently. Like there is no better option to use AWS services. As you know, like nowadays all the application uses AWS services, and there's a biggest outrage, AWS outrage came, and all the applications in our US has been down. So as you know, you can imagine like how many companies using AWS services. So core AWS CI/CD services. AWS code submit source control for your code, and then AWS code build and test your code, and then AWS code deploy automates application deployment, and then AWS code pipeline. So these are the core services that provide CI/CD services. And code commit, you can use your Git repository or GitLab or code commit, AWS code commit, where you can source control for your code, and then you deploy. So the basic idea to use the CI/CD is, let's suppose you have an application, and you have doing ongoing changes on the application. So if you update like manually, and some of your dev push some code, and the code is in error, so your application will go down, and all the application is going down, nobody can use your application. And now you have to just go through code and then fix the error. It might take longer. So what these AWS CI/CD services, it basically tests your code. If it's working, then it combines your code with the original code, and then deploy your code live. So it was doing so efficiently, like the user would not have any idea like it's anything has been changed without us almost zero downtime. Because if you do manually, you have to down your application, then merge your code, and then deploy, and then test your code. But for AWS services, you don't need to do these steps. Okay. AWS code pipeline deep dive automates software release process from source to deployment. As I told you already, these are the stages of the application. One is source, then you make a build, then you test, and you deploy. Integrates, you can integrate with code commit, GitHub, S3, buckets, Lambda, ECS, and many more services. How code pipeline works. So first stage is source. Pull code from repo. You can pull your code from GitHub or anywhere, and then you build your code, complete and test using code build. It has built-in code build, and then you deploy using code deploy or ECS, and then you automate execution on each commit. So what how however, like the devs are doing code commit, like they are committing a new code, and then it automatically execution without doing manually. And then I will make a demo for you as well, which I will create a pipeline in AWS console, and then add stages for source, build, and deploy. And then also I will do, you know I will show you how we're gonna do. It's simple, but sometimes for some users it might take time. And then connecting AWS code build to Git repository, it's quite easy. Yeah, so AWS supports GitHub, Bitbucket, code commit integration, and I might use GitHub for the demo, but you can use Bitbucket and code commit as well. And then first you need to set up steps is basically create a select a Git repository, add a build spec.yml file defining build steps. This is a very important file in your build, and create a code build project and connect repository. Start, build, and monitor logs. And so it's quite simple. I will show you how you do it in demo. And sample build spec.yml file. That's a sample file where you define your build commands. So I'm wrapping up this video. You have to learn how understand you have to learn understand CI/CD concept, use AWS code pipeline for automation, connect code build for GitHub for builds. Next, combine all the deploy apps automatically. So in this video, I explain about AWS CI/CD, and in my next video, I will make a demo for you how you're gonna use this CI/CD on your application. So stay tuned with us and like and share and subscribe. Thank you.